Have you ever thought of where the gasoline that your parents put in your vehicle comes from? Or the gases you use in your gas ovens and grills to serve your favorite dishes? Usually, people get these supplies from a natural resource, or more specifically, a non-renewable energy source. The natural resources of the earth can provide us with everything we need to live a sustainable, environmentally and eco-friendly existence, but it's up to us to educate ourselves about them and utilize them. We use a variety of resources in our everyday lives, but did you know that once some of these resources run out, they cannot be replenished? In this lesson, we will look at what non-renewable resources are and learn more about oil, natural gas, coal, and more. Natural resources are those found in the environment that are essential to us human beings. Renewable resources are those resources that are not in danger of being used up, while non-renewable resources are found in fixed amounts and are being used faster than they can be replenished. Non-renewable resources are those which cannot be replaced once they are used up or harvested. This includes fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, natural gas, and others includes nuclear energy and biomass energy.
Basically, coal is the outer remains of prehistoric vegetation that originally accumulated in swamps and peat bogs. The energy we get from coal today comes from the energy that plants absorbed from the sun millions of years ago.
Another resource is called petroleum. Petroleum is a liquid fossil fuel and it is called oil or crude oil. It is formed by hydrocarbons, primarily sulfur. Petroleum is trapped under the ground in rock formations. To be accumulated, it is drilled under the ground or in some instance under the ocean. Most of the time, petroleum is converted to gas. Coal and petroleum are not the only types of fossil fuel. We also have the natural gas. Natural gas is trapped underground reservoirs found in deposits in few hundred meters underground. Natural gas is mostly made up of methane, trapped in rock formations that can be stretched for kilometers. It is accumulated in the process of hydraulic fracturing that uses water. Aside from the three fossil fuels mentioned, we also have other non-renewable resources. These are the nuclear energy and biomass energy. Nuclear energy is the energy found in the nucleus of an atom. It is basically the energy that holds neutrons and protons in the core of an atom. Nuclear energy is obtained in two ways, by nuclear fission and by nuclear fusion. In power plants for electricity, they likely use the nuclear fission more.
Biomass energy. Biomass energy, a renewable energy source, can also be a non-renewable energy source. It uses the energy found in plants. It also relies on biomass feedstocks. And when people do not replant biomass feedstocks as fast as they use them, biomass energy becomes non-renewable energy source. It also uses the energy found in plants, but it also relies on biomass feedstocks that includes crops, corn, soy, and woods. Biomass energy are the plants burned to produce electricity.
Like other sources of energy, coal also has advantages and disadvantages. Advantages of coal as a source of energy includes: number 1, inexpensive compared to other resources. Number 2, versatile because it can be burned directly, transformed into liquid, gas, or feedstock. Number 3, the energy it produces is reliable. And number 4, it's more abundant compared to oil and natural gas but is gradually depleting. On the other hand, disadvantages includes: number 1, burning coal emits harmful waste such as carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfuric acid, arsenic, and ash. Number 2, coal mining can scar the landscape and the equipment used for mining is large and noisy, which may affect the local wildlife. Number 3, transporting coal can be problematic. And number 4, the technology to process it to liquid or gas is not yet fully developed.
Advantages and disadvantages. Inexpensive, reliable, portable. These are the advantages of oil to the modern world. First, extracting oil is inexpensive, thus companies really benefit from it. Reliability. Companies and even individuals prefer oil because it is a dependable source of energy and money for the community, both local and international. In the terms of gasoline, the most common form of oil, it is portable source of energy, like you can find gasoline anywhere. Other than this, we clearly see that petroleum is widely used as ingredient in many items that we humans depend on, and it makes our lives much easier and convenient. But do we really know the consequences and disadvantages of using petroleum? It is really harmful to the environment in air, water, and land. It releases hazardous gases and fumes into the air that we breathe. It also contributes to the climate change when extracted, processed, and burned, releasing excess greenhouse gases and CO2 that also makes the planet warmer and hotter. There is also the possibility of an oil spill. If there is a problem with the drilling machinery, the oil can explode out of the well and spill into the ocean or surrounding land.
Like all the other non-renewable resources we have discussed, natural gas also has its own advantages and disadvantages. It is a cleaner fossil fuel than oil or coal. When natural gas is burned, it only releases carbon dioxide and water vapor, which are the exact same gases that we breathe out when we exhale. This is healthier than burning coal. However, extracting natural gas can cause environmental problems. Fracturing rocks can cause mini earthquakes, and the high-pressure water and chemicals that are forced underground can also lead to other sources of water. The water sources used for drinking or bathing can become contaminated and unsafe.
The advantages of nuclear energy are lower carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere in power generation, low operating costs, known developed technology ready for the market, large power generating capacity able to meet industrial and city needs. Existing and future nuclear waste can be reduced through water recycling and reprocessing, similar to Japan and the European Union. Meanwhile, it also has its disadvantages like high construction costs due to complex radiation containment systems and procedures, high subsidies needed for construction and operation as well as loan guarantees. Subsidies and investment could be spent on other solutions such as renewable energy systems, high known risks in an accident, unknown risks, long construction time, target of terrorism. Waivers are required to limit the liability of companies in the event of an accident. Nuclear is a centralized power source requiring large infrastructure, investment, and coordination, where decentralized sources can be more efficient, less costly, and more resilient. Uranium sources are just as finite as other fuel sources such as coal, natural gas, etc., and are expensive to mine, refine, and transport, and produce considerable environmental waste, including greenhouse gases, during all of these processes. The majority of known uranium around the world lies under land controlled by tribes or indigenous peoples who don't support it being mined from the earth. The legacy of environmental contamination and health costs for miners and mines has been catastrophic. The waste lasts 200 to 500,000 years, and particle beam activated reactors that are reported to produce less wastes and have reduced safety concerns. Even if these technologies were ready, they wouldn't be deployed commercially for another 2 decades. Shipping nuclear waste internationally poses an increased potential threat to interception to terrorism. Also, nuclear power plant accidents already happened. These include the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, the 2011 Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, and the 1979 Three Mile Island accident.
What are the advantages of a biomass energy? In many ways, biomass is a new source of power. Now, these biomass fuel products are harvested and mass-produced and used in everything, from engines to power plants. First, no harmful emissions. Second, clean energy. This is good for the environment and good for business. It releases carbon dioxide but captures carbon dioxide for its own good. Third, abundant and renewable. Biomass products are abundant and renewable since they come from living resources, and life is cyclical. These products potentially never run out. So as long as there is something living on Earth and there is someone to turn all those components and waste products into energy, then it will continue. Fourth, reduce dependency on fossil fuels. It has developed as an alternate source of fuel for many homeowners and have helped them to reduce their dependency on fossil fuels. Now, what are the disadvantages of biomass energy? First, it is expensive. Living things are expensive to care for, feed, and house, and all of that has to be considered when trying to use waste products from animals for fuel. Second, it is harmful to the environment. Using animal and human waste to power engines may save on carbon dioxide emissions, but it increases methane gas, which are also harmful to the Earth's ozone layer. Finally, it also consumes more fuel. Using trees and tree products to power machines is inefficient as well. Not only does it take a lot more fuel to do the same job as using conventional fuels, but it also creates environmental problems of its own.
Higher price of raw materials, an increase in costs of production. Countries who rely on importing raw materials will see an increase in costs. Negative effect on export revenue of countries who export these raw materials. Energy could certainly get much more expensive, and the loss of energy. These are the things that will most likely happen when the non-renewable resources of energy humans depend on run out of supplies. These are also the problems we must be able to foresee, or better yet, avoid. But long before these problems, we may have done major damage to the climate through the release of carbon dioxide from fossil fuels. But also in the long run, rising prices of scarce commodities will provide incentives for firms and governments to develop alternatives.
The obvious effects of energy efficiency and the reduction of energy waste are the following. It prolongs fossil fuel supplies, which is very valuable for us human beings. It reduces oil imports and improves energy security. It produces very high net energy yield. It helps people save money, reduces pollution and environmental degradation. It buys time to phase in renewable energy. And last but not the least, the creation of new jobs. But how do we achieve these positive effects? There are many ways we can help to protect the environment by using the Earth's natural resources in our homes. And even better, many of them can be turned into fun, educational, and interesting activities for the whole family. Why not try drying your washed clothes on a washing line or clothes rack instead of using an electric dryer or a tumble dryer? It will only make use of the wind. That wouldn't cost you a single cent. Why not grow your own fruit and vegetables or buy locally produced food to cut down on pollution caused by transporting goods from one area to another? The natural resources involved here are air, water, soil, and of course, crops. You can also try fitting solar panels to your home to provide solar water heating or solar electricity. In this case, the natural resource involved is the perpetual resource, the one and only sun. Last suggestion in using natural resources for home use is the use of water butts in your garden. It is a great way of saving and reusing water. This so-called water butts collect rainwater whenever possible, which you can then use for watering your plants. You'll save a huge amount of water supply and possibly lessen your bills to pay. Although these suggested actions do not produce readily usable energy in any form, they lessen our need for it or our need for electricity and thus increasing the net energy yield. However, there are other solutions that the group suggests, specifically for students like us.
In solving these problems, we should not be limited by the fact that we're just only students. We can find ways to contribute in this advocacy of living sustainably in our own little way. Number 1. We learn so much from school on how to aid and help the society live sustainably, especially on the bad effects of non-renewable sources as energy. As students, it is our job to spread the knowledge we are acquiring. We can start with our family by letting them realize the drawbacks we have in using fuel for cars, too much electric and water consumption, producing alarming amounts of solid and chemical wastes, and find a way to reduce and be conservative in this matter. Through that, ideas we acquire from school turn into actions and not just mere words.
For a simpler explanation, here's a video by Doodle Science, courtesy of YouTube.
Fossil fuels are non-renewable energy resources. These are coal, oil, and natural gas. They were formed from the remains of living organisms millions of years ago, and they release heat energy when they're burned. This heat is used to turn water into steam, which is used to turn a turbine, which then drives a generator to generate electricity. This is the standard model for a power station. There are downsides, however. Fossil fuels release sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide, which leads to acid rain and an increase in global warming. Another form of non-renewable energy is nuclear. The main nuclear fuels are uranium and plutonium. The nuclei of these large atoms are split in a process called nuclear fission to release a great deal of heat. The heat energy is again used to boil water. The kinetic energy in the expanding steam spins turbines, which then drive generators to produce electricity. Unlike fossil fuels, nuclear fuels do not produce carbon or sulfur dioxide. However, they do have the risk of a fault where large amounts of radioactive material could be released into the environment, such as the disaster of Chernobyl in 1986.